Shalom to the elect of Israel, to the hopeful elect of Israel, you Hebrew Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians. Gotta give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, the Most High, the Heavenly Father. His Hebrew name is Yahweh, not Yahweh, not Jehovah, not God, not Elohim, not Most High, not Lord, not Yah, not Jah, not Ahaya, not Allah. It's Yahweh. His only begotten son name in the Hebrew is Yahweh Shai. Not Yahshua, not Yeshua, not Jesus Christos, not Jesus Christ, not Serapis Christus, not Yeshaya, not Yehoshua. It's Yahweh Shai. So I give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rekak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, who teach well, who are the apostles and elders of all of Israel, whether you can accept it or not. In a sincere salutation to all the octave pushing this truth and believing this truth throughout the four winds of the earth, the entire world, waking up the hopeful elect. And shalom to the Akwath who are listening and learning, the few sisters who are listening and learning. I'm Isaiah from GMS Solano Camp coming at you another lesson in truth, facts, faith, and edification, another daily edification. Lord's willing, this be edifying. And I titled this lesson, Is This the Man? This is for educational purposes only. This is not for monetary gain. I do not own a copyright to this video. This is for educational purposes only. Lord's willing. This be edifying. Got a couple clips I'm going to play. And you can see on the screen, this was Biden. This is his thought. I wrote the crime bill that targeted minorities. Kamala Harris thought is, and I sent them to prison using that very same law. So, what it says in Psalm 94 and 20, they frame mischief by our law. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a couple of these clips. I ain't going to make this too long. Get straight to the point. The Lord wouldn't be edifying. Because on his first day, this guy signed 17 executive bills. 17. So let's play this. And Lord wouldn't be edifying. We turn the volume down.
Well, certainly the rollout of these policies has been a well-oiled machine so far. You mentioned that these professionals have been here before. Jen Psaki is no stranger to a podium. She was the State Department spokesman, Shep. But yes, there were a slew of executive orders tonight. There are more actions coming later in the week, and there has been very coordinated messaging from this administration, as nascent as it is, on all of these various issues. She said today that there will be another briefing tomorrow, perhaps signaling that this is going to be a regular occurrence, not an intermittent happening as it was under the Trump administration. It was a substantive and a sobering briefing in tone and tenor. It was about 180 degrees different from the first briefing of Sean Spicer, the Trump administration's first press secretary, who spent his briefing talking about the crowd size at Trump's inauguration. But Shep, I think one challenge is, given that today was a homecoming of sorts for many in the press staff, a lot of these are alums from the Obama-Biden administration. They're announcing their triumphant returns over the loudspeaker in the Brady briefing room earlier today. Our challenge as reporters is going to be getting past that veneer, getting past the coordinated messages, and getting to the story that the administration does not prepackage and does not want us to tell. Shep.
So let's come back to me. And let me get this second one. This man signed 17 executive orders, man. First day. Let's get this.
And I thought with the state of the nation today, it's no time to waste, get to work immediately. As we've indicated earlier, we're going to be signing
Look at them stacks of executive orders.
Several days a week. And I'm going to start today. The compounding crisis of COVID, the COVID-19, along with the economic crisis following that, and climate crisis, racial equity issues. You know, some of the executive actions I'm going to be signing today are going to help change the course of the COVID crisis. We're going to combat climate change in a way that we haven't done so far, and advance racial equity and support other underserved communities. We're going to rebuild our economy as well. And these are just all starting points. We're going to, in the process of rebuilding the economy, do what I said throughout the campaign and while running rebuild the backbone of the country, middle class. And so there's going to be a lot of focus on that. And I think some of the things we're going to be doing are going to be bold and vital. And there's no time to start like today. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm proud of today's executive actions. I'm going to start by keeping the promises I made to the American people. A long way to go. These are just executive actions. They are important, but we're going to need legislation for a lot of other things we're going to do. And the first order I'm going to be signing here relates to COVID, and it's requiring, as I said all along, where I have authority, mandating masks be worn, social distancing be kept on federal property, on interstate commerce, etc. This is the first one I'm signing. And the second one I'm signing here is the support for underserved communities, and we're going to make sure we have some bedrock equity, equality as relates to how we treat people in healthcare and other things. We'll give you copies of these executive orders. And the third one I'm going to sign, and that's what I'm going to do while you're all here, is the commitment I made that we're going to rejoin the Paris Climate Accord as of today.
Mr. President.
Thank you.
Mr. President.
This is Psalms 94 and 20. Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by a law? This is Isaiah chapter 10 and verse 1. Woe to them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed, to turn aside the needy from judgment, and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless.
The President wrote a very generous letter. It's because it was private. I will not talk about it until I talk to him, but it was generous.
To Brazil on climate change, you were rejoining Paris agreements, and you mentioned
Brazil.
Brazil.
Guys, come on, let's go.
You have
concerns about
Let's
your
go, you guys. Press, let's go, let's go.
Do you have any concerns about
You guys, let's go.
President Joe Biden signing his first executive orders as president. Let's get to Kayla Tausche in Washington. First order of business, a mask mandate, Kayla.
And notably, the president, I almost called him the president-elect again. I'm so used to doing that, Melissa. President Biden wearing a mask himself, despite the fact that he himself has received both doses of the COVID vaccine, talking about how important it is to get the pandemic under control, and really illustrative that that is the first one out of the 15 that you saw stacked on the side of his desk, almost like restaurant menus, one after the other, that he was going to be signing, but that was the most important that he wanted to sign. He also made reference to the rejoining of the Paris Climate Agreement and the importance of showing that leadership on the world stage. And on that note, Melissa, almost concurrently with that video coming in, we received a statement from former Treasury Secretary Hank Paulson. Of course, he was a Treasury Secretary in a Republican administration, but he praised the decision to rejoin the agreement, saying that climate change is the most certain threat to our planet, our people, and their livelihoods. And he says that he commends the administration for leadership and wisdom in making climate change a priority for his administration. So certainly not all of the responses from the other side of the aisle on the climate issues have been negative. One, for example, from Paulson, very positive. And then you heard at the end of that pool spray when reporters tried to ask him about President Trump's letter that he left behind. We still don't know the contents of that letter, and reporters asked about what it said, what President Trump left as a message for his successor. And President Biden said that he wanted to discuss it with President Trump first before sharing the contents more widely. Melissa?
All right, Kayla, thank you. Kayla Tausche in Washington. A couple of messages coming out of the Oval Office tonight from President Biden in what he chooses to sign first as president. First of all, that putting the pandemic behind the country is the first order of business. And second, that the environment is going to take center stage. So that's a green light, I would imagine, Guy, for a lot of the environmental investing that we've seen, the favoritism towards green trades, the so-called green trades like solar and EVs.
Yeah, no doubt. And obviously, think about how those stocks have been just incredible over the last few months. But I will look tomorrow over the next couple of weeks.
And you know what else? Some executive orders that he's going to sign. I'm going to read a couple of them. This is some more executive orders that will be signed. By what president and who? We don't know. This is an article. It's what is martial law? Temporarily ruled by military authorities imposed on a civilian population, especially in times of war or when civil authority has broken down. It may also be used during outbreaks of deadly illnesses. The law imposes on an occupied territory by occupying military forces. Among aspects of martial law are censorship of radio and newspapers, prohibition of the sale and consumption of alcoholic beverages, prohibition of gatherings of more than 5 persons in the streets, and a requirement of a permit from the local military authorities before any public meeting can be held. Religious meetings inside may be tolerated by the authorities, held at hours not conflicting with the curfew. In rare cases, martial law has been in effect with armed soldiers barring citizens from being out of doors after sunset. This say interesting facts. Martial law can be declared due to natural disasters, stock market crash, no electricity, riots, biological attack, and anything leading to the breakdown of law and order. The following is a list of executive orders that are now signed into law. Executive Order 12656, assignment of emergency preparedness responsibility. A national emergency is an occurrence including natural disaster, military attack, technological emergency, or other emergency that seriously degrades or seriously threatens the national security of the United States. Policy for national security, emergency preparedness shall be established by the President. This order includes federal takeover of all local law enforcement agencies, wage and price controls, prohibits you from moving assets in or out of the United States, creates a draft control all travel in and out of the United States, and much more. Executive Order 10995 seizure of all communications, media, radio, television, newspapers, CB and ham radio, telephones, and the internet. In effect, suspicions of the First Amendment. Executive Order 10997, seizure of all electrical power and fossil fuels. Executive Order 10998, seizure of all food sources, farms, and farm equipment. Food will be rationed. Today, some states have anti-hoarding laws on the books, stating that anything over 1 week's supply of food is considered hoarding and against the law. Executive Order 1099, seizure of all transportation and control of all highways, interstates, and seaports. Any vehicle, public or private, can be taken. Executive Order 11,000, seizure of all civilians for work under federal supervision. Executive Order 11,003, seizure of all airports and aircraft, public or private. Executive Order 11,004, housing and finance giving authority for population relocation. Executive Order 12,919, direct various cabinet officials to be ready to take over virtual all aspects of United States economy during a state of national emergency at the direction of the President. Executive Order 13010 directs FEMA to take control over all government agencies in a time of emergency. FEMA is under direct control of the executive presidential branch of government. Executive Order 11490 establish presidential control over all United States citizens, businesses, and churches in the times of emergencies. So these executive orders is ready to go, man. All it takes is for a signature. So let's play this next one. Cause this guy signed 17 executive orders, man. His first day.
President Biden didn't waste any time getting to work. WFMY News 2's Ben Briscoe says Biden already did things today that'll directly impact your life.
Just hours into his presidency, Joe Biden signed 17 executive actions. Highlights include rejoining the World Health Organization and creating a COVID-19 response coordinator to manage producing and distributing vaccines. He's having us rejoin the Paris Climate Accord. He's banning workplace discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation or gender identity, halting construction on the border wall, requiring all members of his administration to sign an ethics pledge, and he's extending the existing nationwide moratorium on evictions until March 31st, and the pause on federal student loan payments until September 30th. All of this is a sign of how fast President Biden wants to move his agenda, according to UNCG political science professor Tom Little.
And it ain't his agenda. It's the Job 924's agenda.
He does not have 100 days. I think he's not going to have this pot of goodwill that often goes when you've got a third of the public that doesn't believe you're the legitimate president. So,
For people who don't really follow politics out there, those viewers, what's the biggest way their life is going to change?
the biggest immediate change is going to be for those people who will receive a COVID check. You know, I think that check is the amount of that's going to be raised.
For the rest, well, we'll have to wait and see. Ben Briscoe, WFMY News 2.
Now, you come back to me because I have another one I'm going to play. Hey, because what's going on? This transition of wicked power is another transition of righteous power. Salaki for that. So he done signed 17 executive orders in his first day. So let's play this last one and get a couple precepts and close out.
Our constitutional journey did not stop then, and it must not stop now, Judge. And we'll be faced with equally consequential decisions in the 21st century. Can a microscopic tag be implanted in a person's body to track his every movement? There's actual discussion about that. You will rule on that, mark my words, before your tenure is over. Can brain scans be used to determine whether a person is inclined toward criminality or violent behavior? You will rule on that.
And this is the most important executive order.
And Judge, I need to know whether you will be a justice who believes that the constitutional journey must continue to speak to these consequential decisions, or that we've gone far enough in protecting against government intrusion into our autonomy, into the most personal decisions we make.
Let's run this back.
Our constitutional journey did not stop then, and it must not stop now, Judge. And we'll be faced with equally consequential decisions in the 21st century. Can a microscopic tag be implanted in a person's body to track his every movement? There's actual discussion about that. You will rule on that, mark my words, before your tenure is over. Can brain scans be used to determine whether a person is inclined toward criminality or violent behavior? You will rule on that.
And they got Elon Musk working on that as we speak.
And Judge, I need to know whether you will be a justice who believes that the constitutional journey must continue to speak to these consequential decisions, or that we've gone far enough in protecting against government intrusion into our autonomy, into the most personal decisions we make. Judge, that's why this is a critical moment. There are elected officials in this government, such as Mr. DeLay, a fine, honorable, patriotic man, and others, who have been unsuccessful of implementing their agenda in the elected branches. So they've now poured their energies, as the left would if it were different, they've now poured their energies and resources into trying to change the court's view of the Constitution.
Hey, he's letting you know he will not fail, man. He will not fail pushing his agenda. Which is what? It's the Job 924's agenda, man. It's the elite's agenda. So I'm gonna get a couple of these precepts. This is Revelation chapter 13 and verse 16. It reads, Revelation 13 and 14. It reads, and deceive them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles. And this guy Elon Musk said he's going to be able to heal paraplegics, dementia, and other type of ailments. And what that's doing is deceiving the people, right here as it say, and deceive them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles, which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by the sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, that no man may buy or sell, say he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, was the number of a man, and his number is 666, which is to be pricked, to be incised with the RFID microchip, which is the mark of the beast. This is Isaiah 14:16, and it reads, They that see thee shall never look upon thee and consider thee, saying, Is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms, that made the world as a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners? Is this the man? Are these the men that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms? Yeah, it's them, man. Your Job 9:24. It's them. So I don't want to go too long-winded. I just want to show these couple clips. Lord, when it's edifying, gotta give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who teach well, who are the apostles and elders of all of Israel, ready accepted or not. In a sincere salutation to all the occupants pushing his truth and believing his truth. For the four ends of the earth, the entire world, waking up the hope for the elect. And shalom to the Agwath who are listening and learning, the few sisters who are listening and learning. I'm Isaiah from the Gym Solano. Okay, I'm coming at you another lesson in truth, facts, faith, and edification. Another daily edification. Lord's willing, it's be edifying. Till next time, I say shalom. The water for tuning in. May Yahweh Shema Shah continue to bless you in your houses. Stay prayed up. Shalom.